Welcome, I'm Liz Wallace, and I'm here today to talk about some essential skills for coaching success. We've been talking about the International Coaching Federation's core competencies throughout this course, and really developing the skills that are needed to achieve these competencies. These competencies are grouped under 4 categories: setting the foundation, co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and facilitating learning and results. I'd like to talk you through each of these and talk about what they are, what the competencies are, but also what are some of the skills that you need to achieve these competencies. So some of this is coming from our reading and from this website, but some of it is also my own thoughts about what skills I have or might need to achieve to be able to have these competencies in my coaching practice. With setting the foundation. So what does that mean? There are 2 competencies associated with setting the foundation, and the first relates to making sure that you are abiding by the ethical guidelines and professional standards of the coaching profession. The second one has to do with establishing the coaching agreement. So what do you need to do to make sure that you are doing this, that you're being ethical, and that you have actually established a good agreement between yourself and your client? I think you need to have some effective communication skills, but you also need to be organized, because it's not just about being able to have a good conversation. It's about making sure that the ground rules are set up front so that everyone's on the same page, so that you don't run into problems later. So these are the skills I think that are most important for this competency. You have to be able to find those ethical guidelines and professional standards, but there are resources out there. And group of competencies that are discussed by the ICF. And this really consists of several competencies and skills that we'll discuss. The first core competency is establishing the trust and intimacy with the client. You want the client to feel comfortable with you, to trust that what you say you mean, and that when you say you're going to meet with them, you're going to meet with them. You also want them to know they can trust you and that you will not violate their confidence. It's really important to establish this trust and intimacy, because without it, once it's lost, it's lost. So I can't emphasize enough how important that is. Secondly, the second competency is the coaching presence. And that is all about showing your client that you are there, you're there for them, that you're present, you're flexible. And ICF talks about dancing in the moment. That is kind of finding that thing that makes you special, that adds value to this relationship. How can you be there and so aware of what they're talking about that you may have an insight that they've never thought of before? So in order to develop these competencies, there are some basic skills you need. One is active listening, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few moments. But listening is key to creating a relationship. And then also, inquiry and advocacy are 2 functions that we've talked about throughout this course. And inquiry is really asking those probing questions and things that are going to help you understand what the situation is. It's understanding their client's situation so that you can help them. And then advocacy is about helping them. It is about using language that will help that client consider new alternatives, and showing them using words like I to show that you understand or you see the situation from a particular standpoint. So that is where you can really add value. But lastly, one of these, I don't know if it's a skill, but it's important, and that is having a sense of humor and being able to communicate in a way that develops rapport with your client. Effectively. So what is that? What does that really mean? Well, it actually consists of several competencies. The first is active listening. We just talked a little bit about that. Asking powerful questions, But lastly, being direct in your communication with your client. Don't beat around the bush. Active listening is also on the set of skills that I identified, and it really has to do with asking open-ended questions. It's so important as a coach, but also as just a regular communication skill. It's one of the areas that I want to work on personally because it's hard not to interrupt. It's hard not to be thinking about other things when you're talking with someone, but as a coach, it's critical. The next thing is to ask those powerful questions. Once you hear what they have to say, ask a follow-up question. Ask them something that helps them think about it differently. Not a yes-no question, but an open-ended question. And then you want to take their complicated problem and make it more simple. Help them get to the point. You want to get to the point with them. If you see an issue or you see something that maybe they're overcomplicating, help drive home that maybe the issue can be simplified and they can approach it in a new way. Help them achieve the results that they want to achieve. They reached out to you as a coach for a reason. Here's where it all comes together. You're taking your skills that you have as a coach and you're creating awareness. You're helping your client to see their problems in a new way. You're coming up with solutions with them. You aren't telling them what to do, but you're helping them really co-design some actions that will help them get where they want to be. You're setting goals with them together, helping them come up with a plan, and you can help hold them accountable for managing meeting their progress and reaching their goals. So the skills you need to be able to do are recognize gales, and I'm not going to go through what they all are again, but basically you're helping your clients understand the things that are holding them back, the little voice inside their head that maybe keeps them from achieving the goals that they want to set for themselves, or maybe from even setting them in the first place or coming up with those goals in the first place. You are helping build solutions, helping them plan and execute, and encouraging them to communicate with you and also with others to reach their goals. But the most exciting part is you're helping them to be motivated and excited about their goals. That is probably the area where we as coaches can offer the most value. The 4 groups of core competencies. You want to set the foundation with your client. You want to co-create a relationship. Work with them to come up with a relationship that is very useful to them and helps you help them. It's important to communicate effectively. And the last part of this is you should be facilitating learning and helping them get results. I hope you have found this presentation to be helpful, and I have enjoyed putting it together. And I believe that by following these practices and developing these core competencies and skills, we can all be better coaches. Thank you.